Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband it's too late to save our marriage? My husband and I met 5 years ago. He lost his first wife the previous year, and he was struggling with his 2 kids who were 4 and 2 then. Currently, they're 9 and 7. It wasn't the parenting he was struggling with, but he admitted he was lonely and missed having someone there. We dated casually for a few months and then more seriously. I was introduced to his kids after we'd been serious for 7 months, and things were going well there. When his first wife's family learned I was around the kids, there were some rumbles. My husband told me it would blow over, and it was difficult for them to hear the kids were bonding with another woman. It wasn't until after we got married 2 years ago when I started to feel like it wasn't going to blow over. The kids were acting out with me far more. We didn't have any real issues before. Sure, they were kids and didn't always listen, but it felt pretty evenly dispersed between my husband and myself when it came to not listening. But it was clear after a point that it was now happening to me far more than my husband. Things were only really starting to get more noticeable to me when I learned I was pregnant. My husband was thrilled, but the kids were not. Everyone told me it would take a while for them to get used to another baby joining the family. To give it time. My husband and I talked about my concerns, and he told me he'd be on the lookout for anything, but he didn't. He was dismissive the next time I brought the topic up. Then he started dropping the rope and expecting me to do more. The kids saw their mom's family once every 2 weeks. My husband used to drop them off, but then he expected me to do it, and I was met with a very icy reception and hostile remarks if I asked the kids to be careful or anything like that. I told my husband and he shrugged it off. The kids started saying the whole "you're not our mom" thing to me. They told me I couldn't tell them what to do. My husband heard them say it and he'd say nothing, and when I did, they got more angry. One time while I was pregnant, I asked if they'd carry their dirty dishes so I could wash up, and they said no, and they didn't have to listen to me. I told them I was the adult in charge, so they did. And it was a simple request and one I knew they were capable of. They told me their real mom's family said they didn't have to, and that I was a stupid bee who was trying to take them away. I tried to sit down and explain I didn't want to take them away from anyone or upset anyone, but I was another person who loved them. But the kids stormed off in a tantrum. My husband didn't care when I told him about it. When our son was born, it didn't get any better. I told him we needed marriage therapy and family counseling, and he needed to hear me or our marriage wouldn't survive it. But he didn't make the time for it. He told me things would get better once the kids settled. He was still leaving it all up to me, and anytime I called the grandparents to come and pick them up because I couldn't drop them off, it was like I was their enemy. The kids behaved even worse after visiting them. I was told by a friend who had lost a parent young and gained a step-parent afterward that intervening myself would just make them resent me more and would likely end any chance to improve the relationship. She said if my husband wasn't going to step up, then I needed to leave. She said there was a good chance my son would grow up in a very unhappy home if nothing changed, and that I'd be miserable, more than I am now, if I stayed. I tried to make it work. I tried to have another talk with my stepkids. I tried to insist on marriage counseling again. I got nowhere, and it was still getting worse. To add to it, the kids reject their baby brother. There was no magical baby winning them over like others had mentioned. Not that I really believed in that, but I wanted to think it could happen. I also wanted to believe things could get better. But without my husband on side, I know it won't. I reached the end of the line after Christmas, and I packed up mine and my son's things and went to my parents' house. I filed for divorce the next day. My husband didn't seem to believe I'd follow through with it, but after a couple of weeks, he started saying all the right things and promising he'd do better. I told him he was too late with all of that. He said we built a family and the kids couldn't lose another mom. Even his parents, who were never paid much attention to me, reached out and told me I couldn't do this to the kids and we needed to make it work. That it's never too late when kids are involved. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You tried for years and he turned a deaf eye and ear to all the bad behavior. He never ran interference or established boundaries when it was obvious his previous wife's family was bad-mouthing you and telling the kids to mistreat you. The kids aren't losing another mother because he and his first wife's family made sure that you weren't in that role. He only realized how bad it was when you left. He won't change, and I have no doubts he will move on quickly and find another woman to take care of things. I wish you and your son luck, OP, and a happier life that you both deserve. Thank you. I hope my son and I can have a happy little life now that we're out of the house. I feel guilty I let him be born into that mess to begin with, but I'll do everything I can to make him enjoy the life we can have. Wait, he didn't say he doesn't want to lose you, but he did say that his kids could not lose another mom? So it's only about providing his kids with a mom? It's not about him missing you in his life? Good thing you got out. You would have had a lifetime of looking after kids that wipe their shoes on you, and of having to live together with a man who sees you as a household appliance, there to take care of his kids. It's worse, it's about the kids losing a caretaker, not a mom. I would have called him on his bullcrap and asked the kids if I'm their mom on the spot. Not the a-hole, your soon-to-be ex did not really want a wife. He just wanted someone to have sex with who could also babysit his kids. Funny how everybody promises to change after you finally have reached your limit. They had years to treat you better, right? And it's not like I didn't explicitly say twice we needed counseling. He just didn't care until it was way too late. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for laughing my bum off at my sister's reply to my parents sending her diet pill recommendations? My 19 female parents are estranged to a certain degree from all 4 of their kids, which besides me are 30 male, 28 female, 25 female. This is in response to my 25-year-old sister, we'll call her Melissa, not her real name though, responding to my parents' text. So polycystic ovary syndrome runs in our family. My mom knows this as many women from her side have had struggles with fertility, insulin resistance, or even just hair growth, like for me, in areas where women typically don't grow hair. My mom and our dad would constantly criticize us for having oily hair. Another symptom of PCOS high T can cause excess oil production, as well as struggles with sugar cravings and weight. They kicked my sister off their health insurance when she was my age, saying she can work part-time and pay for college and foods, medical as long as she worked smart and was humble. But she eventually got into real estate and did pretty well for herself enough to get good doctors. I mention this because before getting a doctor who understood, she'd respond to the insecurities my parents imposed about her weight, where they'd pinch her fat, buy her aspirational sizes that didn't fit her, and tell her to always eat a quarter of any portion of what she's given at the most no matter what, was to basically not eat. When she'd get lightheaded, my mom would tell her to drink water to fill her stomach instead of eating lunch. So despite PCOS, she did become very thin because, again, she was maybe eating 3 crackers and a bite of cheese for breakfast, and lunch, and would skip dinner. She finally began gaining weight, and is now at a healthy weight without needing to break her spirit and energy to maintain it. But she recently made the mistake of friending my parents on Facebook, and they decided that she's the type who gains weight in her stomach first, meaning even healthy weight. She's 5.6 and 120 pounds. Makes her look obese. So my dad reached out to her, exchanged pleasantries, and then sent her a few diet pill recommendations he said she can get at Walmart. Minutes pass and she sends back a link to a nursing home. It has 2.3 stars on Google and on Yelp. It's even lower, even though if you calculate the not recommended reviews, it would be even lower. So they must pay Yelp to make them look better. It's the worst rated in our area. My parents were in an uproar, and my mom tearfully said she was just concerned about my sister's health. But I started laughing hysterically and said it was objectively funny, but don't think Melissa would pay for a nursing home. My mom then tried to make it about me lacking accountability for my own weight. Am I the a-hole? Now they're blocked by Melissa. Now for the comments. Good on Melissa. Well played. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Definitely not the a-hole. It's hilarious how your sister expertly shut down your parents' diet pill suggestions with a nursing home recommendation. That takes some serious dedication and creativity. Kudos to her for handling the situation with humor and grace. And don't let your parents make it about your weight. They clearly have their own issues they need to work through. Keep laughing, it's the best medicine. Thanks so much. I'm graduating from community college in the spring and will be out of their house for good with a career path. Hopefully, I'll be able to get the medical care that can help me with my torturous sugar cravings too, since they are controlling and critical about me needing doctors to lose weight. Melissa is a smart girl and a good role model. Your parents encourage eating disorders. Not the a-hole be like Melissa. If you want a meal plan that helps with PCOS, look at keto or carnivore. Both have helped tremendously with mine, and neither requires starvation. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for getting my father's affair partner fired after exposing her affair and the fact she's an unmarried mother to the school she worked at? My mom and I found out in September that my father had been cheating on her for at least 5 years. How we know it was that long? He had 2 kids with her, and the oldest is 4. His affair partner is someone pretty well known. She made a name for herself for pushing Christian family values. She's been on local radio spewing hate for a lot of different people. I know someone who was her student before, and she was a real a-hole to them all. Always judging them for being in a private Christian school and not being Christian enough. She left her job for a while, and I guess that's when she had the 2 kids. She started at a new school a couple of years ago, another Christian private school. When Mom and I found out who she was, we're very much in the WTF category. My father wanted me to give her a chance and to not hold the affair against him and get to know his family. But since I'm 17, he couldn't force me, and I told him I wanted nothing to do with him, her or their kids. It bothered me so much that I ended up looking up the school she worked for, and I saw that they had a code of ethics for their teachers, and she violated it in 2 ways. 1 with the affair and 2 with having kids before marriage. So I anonymously contacted the school and shared that info with them, and she ended up being fired. They didn't figure out I was the one who did it until last month when her appeal ended, and she saw some of the evidence they had against her. Of course, they were angry and accused me of being awful and spiteful and think of the kids, blah, blah, blah. I really don't care what they think, and I love seeing that arrogant a-hole knocked off her high horse. I don't feel bad, and even if they ended up homeless and in a shelter because of it, that's not my problem. But my aunt, who I was always super close to, sided with them on that. She said what I did was incredibly spiteful, and it would have hurt the kids more than anyone if the consequences were homelessness or whatever. She told me I don't have to want anything to do with any of them, but shouldn't have gone so far. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments, not the a-hole. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You were just doing unto her as she did unto others. Surely she would want you to do the good Christian thing. Not the a-hole. These people need to start getting called out on their hypocrisy. If it costs them, too effing bad. Right? She was still spewing all that crap while sleeping with a married man and having his kids. She was so critical of unmarried parents, too. Didn't think their kids belonged in Christian schools. Effing hypocrite. She literally violated the school's code of ethics. These people really don't care until they can enforce it maliciously. They'll never perceive it as such, just say, the Lord works in mysterious ways, or it's being enforced upon them. Other than that, it's a way to judge people for judging others. Not the a-hole, it is one thing to be a single mother and a nasty affair partner. It's a whole other thing for her to treat people like crap for the same things or less. Especially kids, as she's doing worse. Looks like her hypocrisy finally got up to her, which I'm good with. Not the a-hole. Your father is a piece of crap, so is she, but for a different reason. She is the rabid, opinionated Christian. Looks down on others for not being Christian virginal enough. She made a name for herself for pushing Christian family values. That's what she pushes, but what she lives is best described as, I will be buried in a Y-shaped coffin. We are a poetic lot here. You did good, in my opinion. The family values was, she saw a family, decided she wanted it, took it. Luckily, the husband was a faithless piece of crap, and she succeeded. How they end up is their problem, not yours. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.